Well, hello there, tankers of the Blitz universe. I'm Flossie, and today I will be doing another comparison video, this time between the M48 Patton and the STB. Both of these tanks being amazing hull-down vehicles at Tier 10. In today's video, I will be letting you know my opinion on which one I think is best. But before that happens, I will be doing a stat comparison of both of these tanks, their armor profiles, and one live game in each of these. So I will leave chapters down below if you feel like skipping around the video and you just want to watch like the gameplay or whatnot. So yes, let's get right on into the stats, however. And you can see here I'm using Blitz stars, and both of these tanks are at the top with the same equipment and provisions equipped to them. So yeah, let's get right on into the guns. So you can see here the M48 Patton has slightly better DPM right off the bat. And it's about 200 better, and that is kind of noticeable. And you will find that if you do, especially if you run rammer, 3500 DPM is quite nice on this tank. Now the STB, it doesn't have terrible DPM, but 3100, again, it's a noticeable difference compared to something like an M48 Patton in terms of how much damage you're able to do in a certain amount of time. As for the penetration, now both of these tanks on standard shells have basically the same pen. The STB has like literally slightly, and I mean very slightly less penetration, but you're not going to notice it on its standard shells, really. However, moving on over to the premium ammo, and the pen on the Patton is better by 15 millimeters on paper. So it has 330 millimeters of heat pen, whereas the STB has premium AP, but it only has 315. However, premium AP has shell normalization, as AP does. So you actually have a lot more than 315 millimeters of pen, and although this seems kind of sad, the STB actually has amazing pen, premium-wise. Another thing you're going to notice about the premium ammo on these tanks is the alpha damage difference. The M48 Patton has 290 alpha damage, whereas the STB is 320. So you see on the STB, it only loses 10 damage per shot on its premium compared to its standard. So that's really, really nice. And it means that even while shooting premium, you're not going to lose as much DPM as you would if you were shooting gold in the Patton. As you can see here, the DPM on the premium ammo is just better on the STB. And as for the HE, both of these tanks carry the same HE penetration at 58, although the Patton has a lot better HE alpha at 430 compared to 380 on the STB. Now, moving on over to the aim time and dispersion of both of these tanks. Now, the aim time is pretty similar, although the STB has slightly better aim time, but it's not going to be all that noticeable. And the dispersion is slightly worse on the STB, but again, it's not going to be that noticeable, and I find the STB's gun is actually fairly accurate. Same with the Patton. Both of these tanks have good guns, and both of them are quite strong in that aspect. Now, in terms of the gun depression, the Patton carries 8 degrees, whereas the STB carries an insane 11 degrees of gun depression. And the STB has the most gun depression in Tier 10, which is absolutely insane. And although 8 degrees is nice, 11 degrees is just so insane. Like, you can work every hill that you would ever want to in the STB without any problems. So, in terms of the tank's mobility, the Patton goes 48 forwards and 20 in reverse, whereas the STB goes 53 forwards and 20 in reverse as well. So both of these tanks have the same reverse speed, but the STB is faster forwards in a straight line. And the power to weight is also better on the STB as well. So you'll find that the STB in general is just a more mobile tank. And yeah, although the Patton is not all that terrible, except for its top speed. 48 is kind of slow in terms of mediums. Now, breaking into the tank's armor profile. And up first, we have the Patton's armor. So you can see here I'm using the E50M as a shooting tank to shoot at both of these vehicles, and it is using calibrated shells, as I just want to keep it basically fair, and you don't know what people will be running in game, so I figured why not give it the most amount of pen so then you can see the higher end of the spectrum in terms of enemies being able to pen you. So when on flat ground, this tank's turret is really strong, and you won't really be getting penned in the turret at all with standard ammo, unless people shoot at your hatch, which is actually quite large on this tank, although it sometimes is a bit of a troll pen. But for the most part, you should probably be careful about the hatch on this tank, as it's, again, very big. And the upper plate is fairly strong. It has a lot of weird angles on it because it is a boat-shaped hull, kind of like the E5. So you can see here, if you're like wiggling it around, the hull can get a little bit troll to pen, although it does have a massive lower plate and like mid plate as well. So this here is a huge weak spot, and you will be getting HE penned by anything that has really high HE pen. As well as tanks like the 4202 will absolutely bully you with their Hesh pen. So be very careful about using this tank on flat ground. And the side armor is not very good either. It has a very big side profile here, so it's very easy to get penned by tanks in the side here. And you can see it's only like 82, 87 millimeters thick. So it's not very good, and the rear is absolutely awful. You can see here 37 millimeters, so you are getting HE'd by pretty much everything in the rear with this tank, so try not to show your rear. However, going hull down in this tank, now I know that Armor Inspector has the value wrong. It's actually 8 degrees of gun depression, like I showed earlier in the stats, not 9. So I don't know why it says 9 on here, but whatever. We'll get past that. But you can see here, using the gun depression of the tank, it is actually very, very strong still, hull down. So the turret, same thing, using AP or APCR standard, you're not going to get through it. The hatch is a little bit harder to hit because obviously you're hull down, but it's still the main weak spot of this tank when you are hull down. So really be careful and wiggle your tank around, move it back and forth, try and avoid getting penned in that hatch at all costs. And the lower plate is obviously, if you're hiding it behind a hill, then it's fine because the upper plate is still quite strong hull down. Now, breaking into the heat shells here, you can see hull down that the cheeks on this tank are actually extremely hard to pen, as Wargaming did buff them a little while ago. A couple updates ago, they gave this tank just a ton more armor. So now it's really, really hard to actually deal with this thing hull down. But you can see here, even the slightest angle of the turret allows you to pen right through these cheeks here, though. So be careful if you are playing in this tank. Try and keep your turret facing directly at your opponents. And you can see here the hatch is still a big weak spot with heat. So yeah, I mean, again, just really be careful of that hatch. That's the main weak spot. And because people won't be shooting at your cheeks as much because they're a bit harder to pen. And same with the upper plate. It gets a little bit weaker, but overall it's still kind of strong. And yeah, not to worry too much about that. But yeah, let's get into the STB's armor profile next. So here we have the STB, and shooting standard ammo at it in the E50M, you can see here the armor profile is similar to the Patton's, so it has pretty terrible hull armor, and I actually would say the hull armor on this tank is worse than the Patton's hull. You can see here just how easy it is to pen. And the turret is very strong though, so yeah, I mean, there's not really too many cheek weak spots while using standard ammo against it, so you won't have too many issues getting bounces on the turret while your opponents are only shooting standard. Although you do have, again, like the Patton, you have a huge hatch on top, which is the main weak spot of this tank. Yeah, but the side armor on this tank is better than the Patton's side armor, and it can be kind of troll sometimes. Although, again, like the Patton, the rear is absolutely horrible. This actually has a worse rear than the Patton at 25 millimeters, which is absolutely horrible. So you're going to get HE'd in the rear all the time in this tank, so be very careful about that. Now, using this tank hull down against something that has heat pen, you can see here, or premium ammo, you can see that doesn't matter if you're using normal ammo or premium ammo, the cheeks are now a weak spot hull down. And that's just one of the weird designs of the STB turret, is you can see here they're a bit stronger like on flat ground, and then when you move to hull down, you have the undersides of this turret, which are like cheek weak spots for you to shoot at. Although you can see here that the hatch becomes really small hull down, especially using the full 11 degrees of gun depression that you have. The hatch is a bit of a troll spot to hit. And actually, same with the cheeks. Overall, this tank is really good hull down. You do also have this weird, like, commander's hatch thing, vision port, whatever you want to call it, at the front here, which can be penned. But, I mean, most people don't really shoot at this thing because it's very small and it's hard to hit. So the main weak spots, again, the cheeks. And while using heat, you can see here the cheeks are slightly easier to pen. And yeah, using your max gun depression, be careful because these are actually easier weak spots to hit than the M48 Patton's turret weak spots. So you are going to have to move this tank around and wiggle it back and forth, drive it back and forth to really get the most effective use of the armor. You don't want to be sitting still in either of these tanks, even when hull down, because there are, again, the weak spots that are easy enough to pen. And on flat ground, I mean, this thing with heat shells shooting at you, I mean, you're not going to bounce anything, really. So yeah, those are the armor profiles of both of these tanks. So now let's get into some live gameplay, and I'll, again, like I said before, I will play one game in each of these tanks. So let's start off with the Patton. Now, my thoughts on this tank are, first off, I dislike the mobility of this tank. Because it only goes 48, you are going to have a hard time outrunning other mediums, and you're basically never going to outrun other lights. And that's a big issue because it means you have to be more cautious with where you're putting your tank, especially if your team decides to, like, leave you, and you have to then quickly, like very quickly, think of how you're going to get out of that situation. That's one of the main downsides. The other one is how big this tank is. It doesn't look that big like right now, but it's a lot bigger than a tank like the STB, and having a bigger profile means it's going to be harder to actually hide your hull and your weak spots on different terrain. So that's something to keep in mind. However, having the extra alpha damage of 340 on the standard, which I actually forgot to mention earlier, but this tank does carry a bit more alpha damage on its standard shells, and that is actually really nice paired with the extra DPM this thing has. So yeah, it has ups and downs, but I really do like the Patton, and it's a great tank for just farming up tons of damage. So we are on Normandy, and I'm going to be making my way over wide to this side of the map, and that's because I'm going to try and use my hull down abilities to shoot at tanks like this E5. I don't really know how that bounced because I was like literally shooting at his gray turret side there, but oh well, I think it went high a little bit and hit a tiny little red spot on his turret. But we're going to get a second heat shell into his turret there. And yeah, I mean, the pen on this tank, it's pretty average, so average medium pen while using calibrated is pretty nice, and you're able to cut through most tanks' turrets, although the E5's turret is absolutely insane. As you can see there, it's a very tricky shell to, or it's a really tricky pen to actually get off. Unfortunately, he turns his turret last second, so I don't manage to get any more damage into him. But we do shoot him once in the lower plate, and again, that nice alpha damage. We rolled high for 360, which is quite nice. Unfortunately, I keep trying to hit that little tiny weak spot of the E5's turret there, but he keeps angling it last second, so I'm not able to hit it. But luckily, we get a kill shot into him in his lower plate. And now we see the E100. And again, like, we don't really have too much trouble penning him on flat ground in his turret here. As you can see, we're getting some nice damage out right now. And I just heard the 183 shoot. So I am actually going to YOLO him and put my adrenaline on because I do want to get this guy out of the game. So yeah, because he is very dangerous and I really don't want to deal with him later on. So we are going to basically get behind him and sort of just sit behind him the rest of the game and try and finish him off before he kills any of our teammates. Come on, WZ, don't die to him. Oh yes, the 183 missed him, that's good. Now this is looking like a loss, however, because our team is kind of just, dying. We do get a kill shot into the E100, but it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. These guys here, they're just so much more healthy than the rest of our team. So although I've done a decent amount of damage, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day, and we are probably going to lose this. Actually, by probably, I mean we are going to lose this. All that's left is me and the mouse, but you can see here we're still doing lots of damage, and because I conserved my HP, I will at least be able to get out another couple of shells here. Now we have the 62A rushing us. Hopefully he's going to give us a little bit of a ram there. Nice. Do get another bounce on our upper plate there. And now we have the Progetto shooting at us and every other tank in existence shooting at us. Hopefully, well, unfortunately I was going to hopefully clear the Progetto, but I didn't have enough time. You can see there, even with a bad team, this tank was still able to farm a ton of damage. And even on flat ground, sometimes you can see there the armor profile is quite troll, and they had a slightly harder time dealing with me than I think they would have liked to. You can see there we easily dealt top on the team, dealing almost 4,800 damage, and yeah, the rest of our team did it like nothing. But oh well, I would say that's a pretty good showcase of the Patton's gun and its ability to get out tons of damage. Now moving into our second battle, let's see if we can actually get a win this time, and I will be playing in the STB. Well, I was going to show this battle, but this enemy team was just so much better than my team. Like, this was just absolutely tragic. So I figured that this is just not a really good showcase of this tank's ability, because we just got steamrolled, basically. Our team didn't really hold medium side all that effectively, and their whole team did go medium side. So it was basically just a steamroll, and yeah, not very fun. So I will actually play a third game. I mean, you'll see this game as the second battle and the battle in the STB, but yeah, this is actually my second game in the STB because that first one does not deserve to be shown. I mean, I still did 2,000 damage that game, but I mean, come on, bro. These teams have just been so bad recently, but oh well. Let's move on up to medium side on this map, and yeah, let's see what we can do. Now, this spot on the map is very good for the STB, and that's simply because you can use your low profile that this tank carries and the nice turret armor to really get some good damage out when facing off against other medium tanks. So we can see here they have their WZ-132-1 sitting in the back, or kind of the back mid here, and I'm not really sure where the rest of their team is, so I'm going to be a little bit more careful because I don't want to get nuked by that 183. However, it looks like their team is, well, actually, I still don't know where their team is. It's a little bit strange. I don't know what their team is doing. But, yeah, I'm going to push up a little bit more aggressively now that I know that it's basically just their E50M here. And I'm going to get a nice shell into his track. You can see the nice accuracy this tank has is, yeah, it's really great. And you are able to slap your opponents easily with shells. So, yeah, we're going to get another shell into the WZ-132-1. And just like that, he's only at 600 health, and hopefully we can get another one in. You can see we get a nice bounce from him on our turret, and maybe our 62A can finish him. Unfortunately, he doesn't, but that's okay. We do finish him off ourselves. And now it's just the grill who is staring at me. So I'm going to go into a more hull down position, and something else is sitting back there. Ah, yes, their WZ-121. Another medium tank is now a tank destroyer, apparently. So that's fun. That's very fun. And their 183 is actually, bruh. Their 183 is like flanking through mid or something. I don't even know what's going on right now. That's very odd. But yeah, we'll load our HE shell and apparently hit the grill's gun. So that's fun. I love that. I love when my shells hit the grill's gun instead of his tank. But we deal a 350 damage roll into his turret there, and I will be able to get another shell in. Now he's not running Spall, so that was a bit of an unfortunate low roll, but it is what it is. So let's see what I can do now against this 121. I hear him shoot, and he's popping his tungsten, but that doesn't really matter as he's not reloaded. So let's see what we can do here. I'm going to hopefully wait for this concept to clear him, or actually he might not. So I'm going to kill him myself. That was a bit of a risky play, but I did need to get that clear because our whole team is basically low HP except for that 50B. So this is a little bit of a scuffed game, and we'll see how this goes if we win or lose. But I really need to start shooting at this 183 because he has a lot of health, as in he's full health. So we really need to be careful of that. And I just realized they have two grills. Now, I haven't seen the second grill at all, but yeah, from that lucky bounce that I just got, he's on the other side of the map. So I'm going to forget completely about that position there, as I don't want to be shot by him again and actually get penned this time. So I'm going to rotate my tank around back towards this corner over here and see if I can catch out their who else is alive? They're 260, because I'm pretty sure they're 260s over here. Yeah, there he is. So I'm going to go for the 260 because he's a one-shot, and I do want to get him out of the game. And it looks like our concept is probably going to die to him. We'll see if I can kill him before he gets to our concept. Hopefully my gun doesn't low roll. There we go, 310 shot into him. And all that's left is the grill and the 183. So their grill can't see me anymore as he dropped off of that hill there. And I'm going to sort of get the clear shot into the 183. I was hoping to get a full roll into him, but apparently our teammate did more damage to him first. So all that's left is the grill on 274 health, and I'm not going to push right because that's probably where he turned to try and shoot at me. So I'm going to pull off to my left here. And I kind of want to wait for this 183 to get here because I don't know where the grill is going to be. I don't know if he has completely ran or if he's still just waiting for me to poke. But yeah, I don't want to do this by myself. And I would honestly rather if that 183 gets himself shot first, then that's good. But so the grill shoots and I poke him and kill him. There we go. We get 5 kills. And we do well over 4,000 damage, which is a way better showcase of this tank's ability than whatever that first loss was that I just don't want to show. Yeah, so there we go. 4,580 damage and 5 kills, being top on the team for damage. Look at that. Now, that's a good way to end off this video. So overall, my opinion, not really based off of these 2 games alone, but I do prefer the STB over the Patton. Although the Patton does have a stronger hull down armor profile overall, the lower armor profile, like the lower tank profile, sorry, of the STB makes it more enjoyable for me to play, and I find it's easier to work positions in the tank since it has more gun depression. So I will be choosing the STB over the Patton pretty much any day, even if they are both really good tanks, but I just think the STB is more enjoyable to play. Anyways, for any of you out there who have not yet subscribed to my channel, I highly recommend you do so. And it's a great way to support the channel as well as keep up to date on all my new content when I post almost daily. Anyways, I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.